It's time for the family to have a talk, and it's time for some daily bread. Everyone, welcome to the Deer's Cry. Welcome back to those who've joined us before. This is the Deer's Cry, a podcast where we look to try to find Christ in all aspects of life. I'm your host, Tim Horahan. This is a series we call Daily Bread, where we break open the gospel readings for daily Catholic Mass, and we are still in the Gospel of Mark, chapter 3. So let's get into it. The true kindred of Jesus. And his mother and his brethren came, and standing outside, they sent to him and called him. And a crowd was sitting around Jesus, and said to him, Your mother and your brethren are outside asking for you. And he replied, Who are my mother and my brethren? And looking around on those who sat about him, he said, Here are my mother and my brethren. Whomever does the will of God is my brother and sister and mother. So this is a simple passage. Jesus is giving a sermon, standing in a house. Crowd is crowding around him, and his mom and his family are showing up outside, and they want to try to get into him, and everybody around them is basically like, hey, your mom and your fam is outside. And Jesus uses this as a teaching moment, and he just basically turns and says, who are my mom and my brethren, my fam? And he basically just turns and says, those who do the will of God on my family. I don't know if any of you out there are parents like me, but I remember the first time words came out of my mouth, that's my boy. I'm a father of two boys. Those proud moments that you have as a parent, when your kid does something that's within your will, or something that you're wishing, like whether it's cheering the person on in sports, or just seeing them accomplish a project, or just, especially when they're real little, it's just when they're little babies and they go from like crawling, you're just cheering them on from crawling to then just they start couch surfing to the next thing you know, they're walking across the room, to those moments when they first speak. They're precious moments. I have family members and friends now who are, becoming parents for the first time, and seeing the joy in their face when they talk about their little one did this the other day, and my two boys are now teenagers. But those proud moments that you have as a parent, and they go by quick, I will say that. But that joy as a father that you have as seeing your kids do and accomplish things, even small things, from walking to talking to running a race to accomplishing a project to getting up in front of a crowd to just what have you, even the simplest things of like washing the dishes and doing stuff like that. You have these proud moments as a parent, and that's kind of, for me, I see this passage in some ways as a dad, is that where God looks at us and says, no, your fam, because you can read your Bible. You can read this book as much as you want, but if it doesn't call you to then act and do, you're reading it wrong. Because as we keep going on in Mark, Jesus is kind of setting it up for how it is for us to be called disciples, to be called part of a family, part of God's family. It's not the fact that we're like, yeah, God's our Father. It's like, okay, so if God's your Father, just like how you have a father, or you have whatever family you might come from, your guardian or what have you, is that, do you do the will of your Father? Do you do what He asks you? Are you living the life that He's kind of laid out for you? Laying the task out in front of you. Some of them are monumentous, and some of them can be small. And it's just the simple things of, as I was talking about as being a dad, I'm thinking of, the cute moments when my kids were little, and they come, Dad, I drew you a drawing. and it'd be just absolute scribbles. And you as a parent, you're just so joyful because they're giving it to you. They're just trying their best to be like, I drew it for you. And you're like, what is this? But it's like, it's a lion. And it's like, okay. But you don't have that reaction as a parent. You might be thinking it in your head. But you're just like, wow, thank you. I love this. And that's how God looks at us. When we try, we're not always going to do it. We're not always going to be successful on living out the calling that He's given us and doing what He wanted us to do. You know, we might flub up and mess up and slip up. I do all the time. But at least He's looking at us going, that's my boy. That's my daughter. They're trying. And then when they mess up, they're picking themselves back up and they're trying again. So as you go about your day today, or whenever you're watching this, try to do your best. Try to live out the life that God's given for you. Try to bring that joy of God to others. You know, how Christ has touched you, try to use that to touch others. Because that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to pass on the gift that we're given. You know, it might be just in a small way of just doing that small gesture for someone. But let people, as my daily prayer is always, let Christ shine through you and not see people see more of you. See more of Christ than they see of you. And just being the son or daughter of God that you are. So I hope you all have a great day. God bless. Remember to share, like, subscribe. Thank you all for watching these, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube. I appreciate all the support. Like, share, subscribe. I'll catch you around next time. Peace.